So the internet told me that this Audiovox Pro Comp 100 speaker is very similar and sounds just as good, if not better, than the Realistic Minimus 7. Well, recently finding out that this speaker actually doesn't work, let's go ahead and take it apart and compare them and maybe see if we can't figure out what the problem is here. So at first impression, man, they look just about exactly identical. They both have soft dome tweeters. Seems like the woofers are about the exact same size. These actually have little tapped holes on the top and the bottom, or actually on either side, depending on how you look at them. I'm sure there was a bracket that went and kind of held them on there so they can kind of be a wall mount. But they definitely look very much the same. And like I had mentioned, I just found out that this actually doesn't work. I was testing it with that little LM386 chip amplifier that I had made, and to my surprise, it didn't work. I've never even hooked up a voltmeter to them to check impedance or anything. So let's go around to the back. Yeah, it appears the back on both of them are aluminum. The jacks are a little bit different, but that's probably to be expected. They're from around the same time period, and I definitely think that one design is relying heavily, or is based heavily upon the other. I don't know which one is copying which or whatnot, but yes, very interesting. So now we should just be able to go ahead and try to take this grill out. Oh, that was quite easy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hear any scratching or anything. It seems to be working just fine. I was getting about 500 ohms, so that's a pretty high impedance. Maybe we'll just get lucky and I'll be able to figure out maybe there's something inside of the speaker internally that's wrong. Even though a little bit more backstory on this, I found this at Goodwill, and this is the only one that they had, and I kept going back every other couple days, and figured, maybe they just only put one out and didn't put another one out, or I don't know what I was thinking. But kept going back, was never able to find the other one, and I really never hooked them up because of that. I never really needed just a single speaker. But man, yeah, that soft dome tweeter has a lot of dust on it. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and remove this woofer and see what's going on inside. So I've noticed there's also a gasket, kind of a foam gasket on the front of this, very reminiscent of the Realistic and the Optimus speakers. So here we go. woofer seems different, yet seems the same. Here's what I'm wondering. Nice amount of polyfill. Oh. Interesting. Very interesting. Alright, so this is very interesting. There's two electrolytic capacitors, and that is actually a ferrite cord inductor. I was wondering why, because I put my magnet to the back of them to check if they were aluminum or not, and this one I was getting, it was sticking to it, so I figured maybe it was a metal plate, or I figured it could have been a standoff holding on the crossover, but yeah, it looks like that standoff goes straight through the crossover, and that is a ferrite cord, which isn't as good as an open cord, but it's a higher ordered crossover, I know, because it has two capacitors. I'm going to go ahead and try to loosen that little nut and see if we can look at the front side of that crossover. But other than that, it's a sealed design, and it is pretty much, other than the crossover so far, seems to be just a copy or a spitting image of this. So, okay, pretty interesting. So, it is a ferrite cord inductor, and this 4.7 microfarad electrolytic capacitor and that are part of the low frequency for the crossover, and then you got an 8 microfarad cutting the lows to the tweeter. So if I remember correctly, I will go ahead and show here, the Realistic and the Optimist only had one electrolytic capacitor, which would have been, I believe, filtering the lows going to the tweeters, and then they also had an inductor, which kind of just took care of the woofer. So, but that was an open core, and this one's a ferrite, so that's pretty weird. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to take and probably disconnect this, and we're going to go ahead and try to get an ohm reading right here. Or you know what, I guess I don't have to disconnect it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take impedance right here at the speaker, because I don't know, it feels like this woofer is good. So I don't know, I noticed it's kind of hard to tell, but that inductor's kind of just flapping around on there. Oh, or is it broke? No, it doesn't look broke. But maybe it's not connected somewhere, or I don't know. Let's try to figure this out from here. Okay, so this is very interesting. The woofer is okay. Actually, here, let me show you something pretty cool. So, let that even out. So now what I'm going to do, just to kind of demonstrate the difference between a reactive load and a non-reactive load when testing speakers. And so there's the impedance, but if we push up and down on the speaker, we see that it fluctuates and it changes. So yeah, your impedance actually changes when you start playing music through it. But right now, this is telling me that this woofer is good. I'm going to try to get down here. I'm going to try to, with the camera, get another reading from back here. See? Seeing it's open. Oh, wow. Wait. Oh, wow. I don't know what I did, but it seems to be back. Huh. Wonder if I didn't jostle something around. Maybe some kind of connections broke, or I have to clean these, just clean the terminals. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and take a closer peek at that. I guess if I have to, I can reflow some solder. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to take a closer look at this. See, now here's kind of what I'm talking about. As you can see, it's very erratic. That's 14K. Not really sure. Let's go ahead and go back in. Kind of bummer. You have to take off that cool sticker to get to the little screw for the inductor. But, yeah. Oh well. Alright. Back inside. Alright, so I think I've definitely figured it out. This is a lot harder than it looks. Okay. If I go to right there on the crossover, which pretty much is right on the input of the crossover, it's reading perfect. Now if I go down to these terminals, I mean, yeah, if I go anywhere to these terminals, I can't get anything. Let me go right there and then it works. Right. Yeah. And so now that pretty much tells me that it probably has to do with these wires somewhere. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and replace these wires, clean up these terminals, and yeah, solder some new wires onto there. Because I'm definitely getting the proper impedance here, not there. So that should definitely be it. Okay, so very, very interesting. As you can see, if I connect those two, well, let me get a better connection. I mean, boy, it just shoots right to 8 ohms, doesn't it? That means the speaker's fine. I figured out, for some very strange reason, if I connect one end of my multimeter to, you know, where the speaker lead from your stereo would come in, and I connect the other one to the other end of this tab, I'm getting a crazy amount of resistance. So that's easy enough. I can either change those terminals out or just clean them up. I think I'm going to go ahead and just clean those up. And for the sound demo, go ahead and come back and check out. We're going to be doing part 2 of the LM386. This time I'm going to be showing you the better circuit to use. And we're going to go ahead and also test some high frequency, some low frequency cutouts for the high frequency part of the amplifier. Stay tuned for that, and thank you very much for watching. Have a good one, guys, and yeah, come back and check this out. It's going to be really cool. Thanks, guys.